Last day of public viewing of the body of Kibaki, Kenya's third president, who died last week, there was an increase in the number of Kenyans who turned up. Among them was David Wambugu, a man who closely guarded President Kibaki during his time as an MP and cabinet minister. Wambugu fondly remembers his late boss, whom he protected with his life several times, and a dark moment in 2002 when a road accident almost cost them their lives. Leila Mohammed spoke with him and brings us his story.
David Wambugu walks with a limp. His slow steps and current state of health are things he wishes were not part of his reality, but believes acts conducted in lieu of service that cost him his health were worth it, and that given a chance, he would do it all over again.
Mimi nimetoka udhaya. Kwa sababu siku hizi niko udhaya. Nikasema nikuje nione mwili wa mzee. Ile mzee nimeshuga hiyo miaka yote. Ile mzee alikuwa na nguvu hivyo. Saa hii hata sijaona mwili, nataka kuona ndio niamini kama ameaga.
Once safely within the precincts of Parliament, he is able to pass the long lines and walk slowly on, navigating the corridors within the Senate building and crossing over into the Speaker's Walk at the entrance of the National Assembly's chamber, where all the emotion he has been carrying with him since leaving Othaya earlier today was revealed to the full glare of the cameras. He begins with bowing in respect and taking a moment to really look at his late boss, as he had alluded to us that he needed this moment to make peace with his soul, that the man he guarded for 7 years was no longer with him. He meets physically with the late president after 20 years of being apart. He remembers that moment where he says for a second he literally saw his life flash through his eyes.
Ni wakati tulikuwa tunakufa kwa ile shimo ya Machakos. Tulianguka na tukiwa kwa gari moja, ilikuwa ni Range Rover KAH 016G.
Kibaki had been campaigning in Kitui the previous day and had been hosted by politician David Musila. The journey had been pretty uneventful up until they reached the Machakos turnoff, and everything changed.
There was no full play when you had to be clear. It was just normal an accident just like any other. Kwa sababu watu wawili walitu obstruct. Tukawagoga wakufa. Gari yetu ikafuka barabara. Bahati mzuri wakati tulifika kwa ile Mombasa road hapo, kwa sababu gari ikiroll hakuna mabasi ya kawaida ilikuwa inapita hapo. So tukaenda pande ile tukagoga kigia stima, tukafikiria pengine saa hiyo gari imesimama. Kiki kafujika, tukaingia kwa shimo. Kap. Tuingia kwa shimo hata kabla tu hatujafika chini, nikamsikia mzee akiniambia, "Oi, Wambugu nitoa nikamwambia saa tutikwete."
Within minutes, he had lost consciousness, only coming 2 hours later, finding himself at a hospital bed at the Nairobi hospital. When a nurse came to check on him, his first thought was, where was his boss?
Wakaniweka kwa troli, nikapelekwa mpaka kwa ile wadi alikuwa. Nikaenda nikamwona. Nikamwambia habari saa, nikaona ameinua mkinini hivi kishwa. Mama Lucy alikuwa hapo kando ya kitanda, akamuuliza, "Na wewe umemjua?" Huyu ni ile kijana yetu Wambugu.
This was the last encounter with his boss, whom he first met in 1995. He says the driver did not suffer serious injuries as the airbag gave him the protection he needed since he had on his belt. He explains why at the co-driver's seat he wasn't able to be belted up that day.
Usually ukiwa unashuka VIP, it is not advisable. Wewe umejifuga. Kwa sababu kitu kifanyika utachifugua saa ngapi? So I was not. That's why niliumia zaidi hivyo.
On several occasions, he has had to come in and shield the late president when danger was imminent.
Kuna wakati tulikuwa huko Rift Valley, it was Kitale. Tulirushwa grenade, lakini nilijaribu na haikumfikia. Kama nakumbuka 2002 tukiwa Githogori, hao vijana walikuwa very hostile. Wakuja na mawe, wakaanza kurusha mawe. Hata ugeuawa hapo. Dakika mwisho ilibidi nitoe buduki, nipiga juu ndio disperse.
Even with fond memories of his time in service, he has dark ones where he says life after the accident dramatically changed. His injuries were intense, and once Kibaki ascended to power, he felt compelled to write to him for assistance due to huge debts and inability to maintain the treatment he needed. He faults his police boss at the time for his woes.
Kumbe saa hiyo hijack bill yangu kabla haijafika kwa president ya 116,720 which is still uncleared to this date. Akaniambia, Wabogo, you are not the commissioner of police. Ulipia bill na hospitali. Ulipia bill na head of state. No, you're not the commissioner of police. Who are you?
He has sued the then Commissioner of Police, the National Police Service and the state for what he terms as unfair dismissal. The sad part is that ever since the matter was brought before the court in 2016, the case, he says, has failed to take off. On this day, he lives with some peace in his heart after giving his last goodbyes to a man he says he will always cherish for being a great person. Leila Mohammed, NTV.